Yay. Tenney. Nay. Tanadar.
Yes.
Yay. Thompson of California. Yay. Thompson of Mississippi. Yay. Thompson of Pennsylvania. Nay. Tiffany. Nay. Timmons.
All right, you're just continuing there in the T's right now as the vote on this motion to vacate the speakership. Of course, this taking place in the House chambers. And of course, we want to bring in right now former representative, a Republican out of Georgia right now, Doug Collins. Doug, thank you so much for joining us here on Live and Now from Fox. And I know my colleague Andrew Kraft has a question to start us off, so I'll let it go to you, Kraft.
So, former Congressman, you and I spoke, I think, this very day last week, kind of in the run-up to a pending government shutdown. That was averted, and I asked you, because the blame game was going on so much at that time, where does the blame game stand right now? And I want your thoughts on this, too. Was this completely and entirely of Kevin McCarthy's own making at the moment, that's why we're in this position right now?
No, not really. I mean, this has been building since January. Does Kevin have a lot of, I guess responsibility, if you would, because he is the speaker and he took actions that, some have viewed as a breaking of trust or breaking a promise. We've had some differing opinions of that, but this goes back to January. This started in January. It was going to be a cloud hanging over the entire time. It was easy to get through the first few months, but then when it got to the spending bills, and I think this is where it really got tense. They could not bring 12 appropriations bills to the floor. They passed a debt ceiling bill with more Democrats than they did Republicans, and then it just got worse through it. Now, the people who couldn't find 218 votes for the Republicans also caused a lot of this because they couldn't bring the bills up. But also, I will say this. I know that Representative Gaetz has said that if the Democrats helped McCarthy, they would be owning the speaker. Well, in all fairness, he had to have the Democrats' help today, because if they chose not to participate, this motion probably would have failed, when it looks like it's going to succeed right now.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. Thanks again for joining us here on such short notice as the votes still come in. And like you mentioned there, with the Democrats potentially not voting to keep it away from them, because obviously, like Gaetz said, maybe potentially Biden has taken McCarthy's lunch money. Those are his words. Maybe are we surprised on the Democrat side of what they have done? Because certainly McCarthy may be helping them a little bit in some of these negotiations. Is that your view as well?
No, this was the Democrats had no incentive to save Kevin McCarthy. There's an animosity that's built up there. This was the minority leader Jeffries' first time to really exert the power of a minority that he had. McCarthy has had a sort of antithetical relationship with the minority, this Congress, going back to, and then even previous Congress, especially as they laid out in their letter about January 6th, which, by the way, I thought, goes back a long way to get to this. But at the end of the day, Democrats had nothing to gain by helping McCarthy here, because McCarthy couldn't ask for help and he wasn't going to be able to give them anything. So they really, at the end of the day, they had nothing to lose here. And they'll sit back and watch what happens here, which is going to get interesting here in just a few minutes, because it does look like, they're passing the 212 threshold now. It's right there at it. When Mace gave her yes vote, that basically sealed it completely.
Yeah, and that was quite surprising to me. It's hard to kind of see where, Nancy Mace falls on a lot of these things, especially during the speaker fight back, in January. So I was surprised by that, her voting yes on the motion to vacate. But to your point, though, Doug, what about some of these forays and overtures some House Republicans were making throughout the weekend to Democrats? Was that specifically only to keep the government open, or was that to save Kevin McCarthy? There was some reporting to suggest that. And is that, to Matt Gaetz's point, you don't do that and you can still remain speaker?
Well, yeah, it's a problem because it could have been conflated into two. There was a lot of Republicans who didn't want to see the government shut down. The only way they could keep it from shutting down was do what Kevin McCarthy did. And at the same time, however, he was offensive to the Democrats because he didn't give them any time to read the bill. And if you remember, on Saturday, they had to go down and hand walk the vote because they were trying to see what was actually in the bill to make sure nothing bad was there. That didn't sit well with Jeffries and just the latest of what they would describe as insults. Look, the group that was reaching out to Democrats, I mean, they have enough power to stop things, just like the members of conservatives who've been doing this here for a while. But again, they were coming from not from the leadership perspective. And again, Matt Gaetz, if he did anything right here, he framed this very well in saying that if the Democrats at all helped Kevin McCarthy was a Democratic speaker. And that just solidified the fact that, you know, there was some who were just going to vote against him, and also put the Democrats in a bad position as well, because how would they go home and explain in very liberal districts, hey, I helped Speaker McCarthy stay speaker? Yeah, definitely. Representative Collins, thank you again for joining us. We are just learning more information. Let's take us out to the floor of Congress and stay with us, former Representative Collins here, as we just listen in a little bit to what's going on, the proceedings taking place here.
Carter of Texas. Carter of Texas.
So then we're going to go to Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez. No. Nay. Gooden of Texas. Gooden of Texas.
Next I have is Luna.
Luna. Luna.
Mills next.
Mills. Nay.
Pelosi.
Pelosi. Pelosi. Peltola. Peltola.
Yeah.
Sykes. Sykes.
Are there other members in this body who have not been recorded or who wish to change their vote? Have you got the tally? On this vote, The yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
So there you go. You can hear some of the murmurs there on the House floor. The speakership is now vacant, and you heard just some of those members of Congress that weren't present. That's why the threshold kind of came back a little bit. And let's continue here on Live Now from Fox, and we're going to bring in right again former Representative Collins. Just give me your initial reaction, because we saw this, we saw some of the votes going on, but McCarthy now officially ousted as Speaker. What's our initial reaction?
Stunned. Still that this happened. You got to understand that we've been in a republic now for over 250 years, roughly. This has never happened. This is the first time this has ever happened. And it's such a drastic step. Now, really, it's going to, you think anything else is getting ready to get a little more intense right now, is because there will be, and it's Patrick McHenry, looks like he has been named the temporary speaker. That simply means that he is going to now start the process of electing a new speaker. So McHenry was the name that was listed. Kevin McCarthy had to put in a list of names of people who would take over in case something happened to him, since he's third in line to the president. And temporary speaker it looks like it's going to be Patrick McHenry, to begin the process of now going through a roll call vote to see who's going to be elected. McCarthy can be renominated, but I will say this, after that vote that I just saw, there is no clear pathway for McCarthy to get to 218. And as long as Kevin McCarthy is being put up for Speaker, there is no clear vote for a Republican to get 218. This could take a while. And also right here, what's interesting is everything else stops. The House is completely stopped until a Speaker is elected.
Yeah, and I real quick, just to give us this official news from our Fox team, and of course Jackie Heinrich, they're putting it out. Kevin McCarthy ousted as Speaker of the House, and like you said, stunning news. Of course, my colleague Andrew Kraft also along with us for this certainly historic, unprecedented buzzword we've been using all afternoon. What are our thoughts, Kraft? And I'm sure you have quite a few questions for the former representative.
So Congressman, I mean, my question is, who next? I know McHenry will act as kind of an interim speaker on an interim basis, but to your point,